All right, so anyone likes to ask questions? Yeah, you see there's mentioned the influence of other religions. You find in India, other religions also, they talk about many teachers like Jainism. They also, Jainism is very similar to Buddhism. They say there are many Jains, many teachers before them, and many more to come. So the Buddhists also they follow that idea. Okay, but you only need one Buddha, right? It's logical enough.
We have a question from Brother Robert Louis.
Sure.
In the chat box, do all the Buddhas teach the same Dhamma?
Oh, definitely. They discover the same truth. This is a very interesting question, very good question. Now, imagine there are no Buddhas, all right? You look all around in our world here. What do we see? Right now, the Buddha doesn't invent these teachings. The Buddha doesn't say, "Oh, I'm a prophet. Somebody sent me here, and I'm teaching you all this." You know. The Buddha. How did the Buddha become Buddha? You can see all the life story of the Buddha is very interesting. He, as a young man, he lived a very luxurious, happy life, lots of girls and music and pleasure and drinks in his 3 palaces. In other words, he had a completely happy life. Too much, and we call it flooding in psychology. So much so that he ended up not wanting pleasure anymore. When he saw the 3 sides, old man, sick man, dead man, that was shocking to him. Because a young man who's so used to pleasure suddenly sees these 3 opposite things to what he has been enjoying. We can be quite naive when we are rich, or we're really not used to suffering. We think, for example, imagine Prince Siddhartha enjoying the pleasurable life in the palace. He never thought anyone would grow old, get sick, or die. Now, he was a teenager and he grew up to be a young man in the early 20s. A young person can have that kind of idea, and that he never think people grow old until he saw the 3 sides. So it came as a shock to him. So much so that the storytellers dramatized it, and Channa became the storyteller and explains to the prince, say, "Oh, this is an old man, this is a sick man, this is a dead man." And it's as if Siddhartha doesn't know what these things are. If you think very carefully what's going on here, yes, we call it drama, but more than drama, the fact that Siddhartha asked all these questions, asked Channa, "What is this? Why is this man looking so strange? This man, you call him old, why is he like that?" He's never seen an old man before, and this is really a dramatic picture of an old man. So he just can't believe that people can grow old and look like that. Now, you and I have not really seen that kind of old man who's really bent over double, skin all mottled, and no teeth and no hair, cannot walk properly and so on. And you saw the sick man, really nasty looking, very terrible, rolling in dirt. He was really shocked. And then the worst of all, the dead man. He says, "Why is this person not moving?" Right? And he was shocked. He said, "What? You mean even those I love will become like this? They will go away? They will just lie like that? And I can't do anything anymore, love them, I can't do that anymore? And I also become like that? Then what's the point of living?" So he has this simple logic, He says, what's the point of living when we die? So this is a question of a very intelligent young man who was confronted with this sudden truth that opened up to him. It is shocking to him because he lived such a protected life. Suddenly he saw this truth. He realized, wow, what's the point of all this great stuff, so-called great stuff when I have to lose all this. One of the reasons why today you see many monks, they say can't meditate, they can't become arahats and so on, is because they have never really suffered. We have never really suffered. Or maybe we never really enjoyed life. So because we never really enjoyed life, we don't know what suffering is. So we never really knew what the Buddha went through. And so we become monks and we live easy life, and then that's it, we don't even think of becoming strenuous. But if you really think of all this and you reflect on impermanence, you begin to understand what the Buddha was talking about. That old age is real. We are going to grow old. Right? Here we are gathered together. We can see each other how old we have become. We get sick and then we all die. And these are real, right? So the young prince was really shocked. Then finally he saw the fourth side, right? A very opposite side, happy, holy man, a renunciant. He's not really a Buddhist monk. He's not a Buddhist monk. He's a renunciant, a holy man. There were such people in the Buddha's time. They lived this holy life. And he was a totally different picture. So when Siddhartha saw him, he felt very peaceful. He said, wow, how come this person is so different? Again, cut a long story short, he realized this is the way out. This is the way. I must find this peace. So there you are. All the Buddhas kind of go through this kind of renunciation. All right? And then they will try different methods. They find it doesn't work. Because they're looking, they have this question. Why do we grow old? Why do we fall sick? Why do we die? Why? No one can answer that. Then at least they try to find out how we can end this at least. That's possible. So this is one way of looking at the question and to say that all the Buddhas discover the same truth. I hope this reflection helps to give you some idea that all the Buddhas discover the same truth. Of course, you're still curious, you can ask some more. Okay.
We have a question from Sister Ratna Lim. How to show our respect to the Dhamma?
Oh, that's my wife, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. How do we show respect to the Dhamma? Why does she ask me hard questions? Okay. Now, respect means to accept things as they really are. That's the meaning of respect. Accept something as it really is. What is the Dhamma? The Dhamma is the true teaching discovered by the Buddha. What does it comprise of? Well, in simple terms, we can say it teaches the three characteristics: impermanence, suffering, and non-self, right? Everything is impermanent. This is the most important thing to understand. This one truth is enough. This one truth is enough to show how true Buddhism is. The simplest platform. Everything is impermanent. Nobody can disprove this. It's amazing. Simple truth. I mean, you can argue about God. You can say, I don't believe in God. But if you say, I don't believe in impermanence, wow, it's a bit difficult, right? So, how do you respect impermanence? By preparing yourself for this. The impermanence will, take over your life. So you have to tell yourself, what am I doing with my life? People like to say, oh, I won't study Buddhism until I grow old. But when we grow old, you find it's very difficult to study. But if you start younger, it's much easier, right? So that's called respecting the Dhamma. When you tell yourself, the moment I have time, I will use it to increase wisdom. That's one way of respecting the Dhamma. There are many ways of talking about this. We see many forms of Buddhism, right? So we ask ourselves, which Buddhism or what exactly did the Buddha teach? I don't want to be bowing down everything. Now, if you tell yourself, oh, I'm a Buddhist, I'm going to respect every form of Buddhism, you end up having a bad back, I tell you. Wherever you go in the world, you have to bow down to so many temples and statues and so on, right? So, what did the Buddha teach, right? So you ask this kind of question. So, out of respect for the Dhamma, you have to question, you have to ask, what did the Buddha teach? And then find out, how do I practice this? You are respecting the Dhamma. You are taking the Dhamma as it is. When you don't respect the Dhamma, it means you use it for something else, for making money, for business, for promoting your race, for promoting your politics, for all the material things. One last point. There are many points, but let me just limit my answer. For me, after so many years of practicing the Dhamma, I learned that the key idea behind, if someone asks you, can you tell me in terms of practice, seriously, what is the one thing about Dhamma? I would say the key word is renunciation. Renunciation, nekkhamma. Buddhism is renunciation from beginning to end. I don't know whether you heard this before or not. For those of you who have not seen me for decades, say, wow, this is something new. Yeah, I'm happy to say that. These are things I've discovered. I tell myself it's amazing. These suttas are teaching us. Renunciation. You can take any teaching. For example, you take the 3 trainings. Sila. How do you see Sila as renunciation? Sila tells you to give up 5 things. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no getting intoxicated. You let go of 5 things. You let go of what is not useful to your speech, what's not useful to your bodily actions, what's not healthy to your body, you give up. Renunciation, very simple renunciation. Then meditation is even more, you can see more examples of renunciation. You got to give up the senses, the sensing, you close your eyes, you let go of sound, so you don't let the senses trouble you anymore, all the hindrances stop. You renounce sound, you renounce sight, you renounce smell, you renounce taste, you renounce touch. Finally, you renounce thoughts. Then you have jhana. Then you even renounce jhana. You get peace of mind, and then you use the jhana, you look at true reality, you begin to see, nature of impermanence. Then finally you renounce even those ideas. Then comes awakening. As spoken in the parable of the raft, the parable of the water snake, right? You use the Dhamma to understand true reality, and once you have understood it, you don't need it anymore. One thing I noticed all these years, I've studied Buddhism, 50 years more or less. Many things I've studied before, I have to let go of them, I have to give them up, because new understanding has come to me. So I don't need the old understanding anymore. So please remember this one key point. All views are provisional. So don't fight, don't quarrel, no point, because everyone is right, everyone is wrong. Views is just one side of the mountain. So you stay on one side of the mountain and say, that's the way it looks like. You're right. But the person on the other side also right, So if you fight each other, it's very stupid, isn't it? So views are provisional. We use views to help us understand right now. But as we progress, as we grow, as we evolve, we let go of all ideas. New ones take their place and we understand things better. And in the end, we don't need views anymore. So this is an example of renunciation. So here, renunciation is more than just changing of robes, new hairstyle. Now they're even changing the style of the robes now. It seems as if some of these monks are very shy to wear their robes, so they look like lay people. So why wear robes then? We can dress like us, So my point is, it's not how you dress. It's the rules that you keep, the vows that you make, and follow those vows. If you have taken a vow of celibacy, a vow of not touching money, follow it. Otherwise, where are you bound? You're going to go into the subhuman planes after this, right? It's no point. So here, even as a layman, if you keep the 5 precepts and then you practice, you look at impermanence, you are practicing renunciation, the true renunciation, not the outward renunciation of changing robes and then smiling at people and raising funds for all kinds of social work instead of meditating. Now I say this, some people got very angry with me. Some of those world famous social workers, they say, oh my goodness, you're a misogynist. All that I said was, well, nuns should be meditating, not raising funds, not smiling the money smile and, doing all this. Lay people can do better. I mean, I supported the nuns those years, thinking that they would meditate, and so on. They would be like Mahapajapati Gotami. In fact, when I mentioned this to one nun smiling nun on the Facebook, she got very angry with me. I got a shock. After that, I said, "Oh, it's okay. I'm not going to talk anymore, nuns. I don't want to quarrel with them anymore." So it's a shock, you see, because this is not what we expect. Renunciation means you renounce the world, you meditate, and so you see there are these forest monks. You don't see them in the shopping malls. Of course, now with COVID, you don't see them at all. There's something good about COVID. You everywhere is like a temple. So you learn to renounce, all right? And you find even in Malaysia, you have a forest monastery now. You have Sasanaraka. There are forest monks there. And they live happily together, they practice the Vinaya, all right? It's possible to be happy through renunciation. Even as laymen, we also renounce. We renounce selfishness, we renounce eating too much, we renounce unnecessary things, we are happy. Right? So that's one more way of looking at respecting the Dhamma by understanding nature of renunciation. 7 December, notice? 07, 12. 12 is December, and then 6. And then after that, what year is it? 08. And then 09, and it goes on like that until the last one is the year 2000. So you can count how many times I've revised this sutta alone. And despite that, there are still typos. You see, the problem with authors is that we are very biased. We read our translation as perfect, and then later you look carefully and say, oops, there is a typo there. So anyway, typos are not important. Typos will not stop me from going to nirvana, you see. But not understanding this sutta will prevent me from becoming wise. So I keep revising every year my understanding. I keep on improving the commentaries and so on. So this idea of growing with the Dhamma is very important, right? So this is the jnana aspect. This is the knowing aspect. You grow with knowledge. Okay, this is for us, the meaning for us. Now, whereas for the Buddha, he meditates and then he sees in his mind's eye, see, wow, everything flashing across his mind, the dependent arising and so everything is very clear. And then after that, he sits down for 49 days, planning how to arrange all these teachings so that we understand. Now we're talking about this wordless awakening, that he has in his mind. It's just like you see a beautiful sunset. How do you put into words? Yes. You just can't. If you try, you got to use poetry or maybe tell stories, you compare like this, like that. So imagine the Buddha has to explain his awakening, which is all mental. So he sees this, now he has to turn into knowledge so that we can access it also. So you have knowledge and vision. Knowledge and vision. It also means, sometimes it is said, his vijacharana, his knowledge and conduct, okay? That means what he sees and how he acts also reflect each other. So there are this kind of twin words, which shows that he not only knows things, he also lives, he also is this truth. So this is one way of looking at jnana dasana, this knowledge and vision. Now I go back to the first part you mentioned, which I like very much actually. You were saying, oh, I took the trouble to measure all these numbers, I tell you about the numbers. Now let me tell you the reason why I did this. Now many years ago, in the 60s when I was in Sekiai. I was a young man, a young boy. As a young man, there was almost no Buddhism, because all that we hear are stories. And then slowly I started learning the suttas. And then I don't even know how to remember the suttas. I hear a bit here, a bit there. I don't know about sutta numbers. I know sutta names are very long, and I like remembering long names, so I was fortunate. But then my friends didn't like me because I spoke all these funny names which you don't understand. So, and then I became a monk, I learned all the suttas. People come to me and say, I went to hear this monk's talk, and he told me about this sutta. I said, what is the sutta name? Oh, I can't remember. I said, what is the sutta number? I don't know. So how am I going to, of course, he gives me clues. He said, okay, this is what the teacher said. And so I have to put together all these things. It's not easy to identify suttas that way. So having gone through this difficulty all my Malacca years, can you imagine, about 20 years, I told myself I'll never suffer like this again. So now I make sure there are sutta numbers and all these references so that other people like you won't suffer and to grope around and so on. Okay? All right. Thank you for asking that question. I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time.
Cecilian, do you want to read it from the...
We have a follow-up question from the brother Robert Wee, actually. So he said, being fully enlightened, don't arahants also possess the same aggregates of moral virtues, concentration, wisdom, freedom, and knowledge like the Buddha?
Oh yes. In fact, that's the next sutta I'll be doing, the Sambuddha Sutta, where the Buddha says that the Arahats, the Buddha, they all have the same, everything is the same. So what's the difference? This is the interesting point. I'm giving you a bit of a clue to the next lesson. So the Buddha said they're all the same. The Buddhas and Arahats, the awakening is the same. I mean, it's just like, let's say we all have been prisoners, and now we all are COVID prisoners, and very soon we all can go out. We are free. Now, we can't say that A is more free than B. I mean, we all are free in our own way, but there's no way of saying who's more free than others. So, same thing in the sense of the Buddha and Arahats, they're all free. See? So what's the difference, the Buddha asks? There's only one difference. That is, the Buddhas came first. The Buddhas arose first in this world. And the others follow the Buddha. They are his savakas. Now this word savaka translated as listener. Yes, the dictionary meaning simply means listener. But it does not mean followers. It's different, Savaka is a special term we use for stream winners, once returners, non-returners, arahats. They are savakas. Only they are savakas in the suttas. Those who are not on the path we call upasakas. So upasaka we can call upasaka. But if you call yourself a savaka, I'm going to bow down to you because you probably are at least a stream winner. So savaka is quite a sacred word in that sense, all right? So you find the awakenings are all the same. Now this is where Mahayana is different. Mahayana like to say, arahats are like this, like that. They look down at the arahats. The Buddhas are way up. This is wrong. This is totally wrong. I don't accept this. I have to reject this because there's no basis in any sutta for this. On the contrary, the Sambuddha Sutta is very clear to say that the Buddha's awakening and the Arahats' awakening are the same. Okay? We'll do more of this in the next lesson. Okay.
Question, but thought from Brother Kerry Chan. So he says that Brother Piya's direct castigation and renunciation of other Buddhas as unreal is quite disturbing. We may only refer to one Buddha in reference to Gautama, but that does not discount the existence of other Buddhas. I'm also very concerned that he is also very concerned that the reference to one Buddha likens Buddhism to a monotheistic religion. Personally, he would like to believe that there are many ways to Rome and therefore many approaches for one to hear the Dhamma, which is more important than who propounds the Dhamma.
I'm so sorry we didn't make you happy, but I must request that you respect our platform here. We follow early Buddhism, but you are taking the stand of Mahayana. So it's very unfair and also impolite to come into this platform, which is early Buddhism, to make such a statement. I must request, I cannot accept that statement because it's improper. Even you go to a university, you go to any kind of forum, we don't talk like that. I mean, it's fine. I mean, you can believe what you. I'm not saying you should not believe, but you should not tell someone just because he says this based on the sutta that he is wrong. You are disturbed. I'm sorry. Maybe next time you probably might not like to come, and that's fine too. But let others who want to know this, let them have their chance to listen. So that little bit I want to request. Okay, so I'm sorry we cannot follow your philosophy because those are the very things I've dedicated my life to correct. That those are wrong views. They should not be followed as far as I'm concerned. But if you want to believe this, it's up to you. I'm just saying, if you come to me, this is what I will say. And please respect that. Okay? So thank you.
Okay, I believe, well, this is just one of those hurdles that sometimes we just need to get through. For many years also, I had this in mind about these skepticisms about early Buddhism and all that. Yeah? But somehow or other, as we dive deeper into the teachings, I think realization makes us better.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we can take on this on the offline with Brother Karen for further discussion. I couldn't dismiss that for now we are not aligned, but again, like what Brother Piya had said, our learning today is more to the early Buddhism. We appreciate your sharing, but the thoughts has been to that direction for now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Brother Piya, did I say?
Yeah, oh, yes,
right?
yes. Okay, I mean, by now a lot of people know that.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Last question from Brother Kerry actually.
Okay.
He said, can we not focus on early Buddhism or Theravada Buddhism without dismissing the other schools of thought?
No, I'm sorry, we can't. You've come to the wrong forum. I'm sorry. Yeah, here it's early Buddhism. Full stop. Otherwise we can't go home. Otherwise we can't go home. You know. No, there are many forums. There are many forums. You can join so many other forums. You'll be so happy. They will discuss all these things that you believe in. But we rarely have this kind of forum. So we treasure this little home that we have to be close to the historical Buddha. You know, so please at least give us that little bit of space. We will be so happy for you.
Okay.
Maybe
for
say anything.
For our rest of our next 6 months, we only have this very limited time, and for every month we only have 4 sessions. So I hope the participants that join us do understand that with this limited time and space that we have, we are trying to gather as much as we can on early Buddhism first. Yeah. But if time permits in future, if we have more time, then probably I will set up and open a longer forum together with Brother Piya, and maybe with other participants, invited participants, to discuss on the different schools of thoughts moving forward. Yeah. So bear with us for this next 6 months. We have to really focus and we have to move forward until we finish our series. Yeah, very clear.
Yeah, and also understand we are not just talking about early Buddhism in theory, we're also weaving in the practice also. So we like to focus. I know many people here who have come, we're very excited to know early Buddhism because they're also practitioners. So we should respect these people. So if you have other views, there are many other forums. So please respect the views of the people here who come here to study early Buddhism. They want to practice the meditation of early Buddhism. They're not so keen in discussing all these philosophies of this Buddha, that philosophy, and so on. That takes a lot of time and energy. Okay?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Brother Karen, for your reply. We hope that everything goes well from here on. Okay, Sister Cecil, can we go on to the next question?
Okay, thank you, Brother Kerry. We hope that we have cleared your doubts. Moving on to the next question, we have one from Brother Clement. He asks, why is dwelling without respect and deference suffering? In this context, is it correct to translate dukkha as suffering?
Okay, now Clement also likes to translate Pali. He teaches, suttas also. He's a very old friend. So I think the word is dukkha, isn't it? I don't have the Pali word here. Yes, dukkhaṃ. Dukkhaṃ ko agaravo. See, suffering. You see, respect. Take, for example, the situation just now. So, okay, here we have this early Buddhism, and everyone respects that we are studying this. So we were quite happy together. That's one. Here again, the Buddha is saying, if there's no respect, something central in the Sangha is unified by the idea that all the monks, well, the Savakas, they all have this idea of impermanence and wisdom, so they are unified by the Dhamma. Those who are not awakened yet, they see all these streamliners and arahats very peaceful, very calm, they're very inspired by this vision. So they also would like to lead that kind of life. So they all come together and they do this very peacefully. Now, if you've been to a monastery, a forest monastery especially, not even a forest monastery, a kind of a retreat center, like the MBMC in Penang. I was there many decades ago, but I'm sure it's still peaceful there. So you find it's very peaceful there. And there is this respect for the Dhamma. And if people were to go there and to argue all kinds of philosophies, free for all, it doesn't matter what's your belief, we respect argument. We don't respect early Buddhism. Then you will be suffering. There will be lots of argument. You won't be able to meditate. You won't be able to practice. So the idea here is, when you have this someone to look up to, in fact here the Buddha is saying, look, he's looking for someone to look up to, but he says there's no one to look up to. But even then, there is something we can look up to. So he says this is the Dhamma. Now one more, thank you for asking this question, because there's one point I forgot to say. The point that the Buddha raised is so vital that it has made Buddhism kind of self-surviving. It's given early Buddhism this internal self-survival kind of mechanism, if you like. The early Buddhism, or you can say Buddha Dhamma very simply, doesn't really need a teacher to be true. Now we heard this saying before, whether there are Buddhas or not, the teaching is still true. The anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, non-self is still real, right? So by declaring this, by saying, respect the Dhamma, I also want to respect the Dhamma, he is telling us, you don't need to respect Buddhas and teachers as much as you respect the Dhamma. Follow the teaching. That will free you. Do not follow teachers. The teaching above the teachers. If you don't have this, there's going to be a lot of suffering. In the 90s, there were lots of scandals and difficulties in the US and UK because of this lack of respect for the Dhamma, for example, right? So this idea of respecting the Dhamma has given us early Buddhism down to this day, let's put it that way, that the teaching comes first. You notice today, many difficulties we face today are because people put teacher first. There are fan clubs, there are all kinds of guru cults and so on. And a lot of problems arise from that. We don't want that, right? So this is where we follow the teaching, the principle. That way, much less suffering. Okay, that's one meaning here. Yeah? Okay, I thought I saw a question by Sin Chao just now.
Yeah, okay. For the sake of Sin Chao, we will.
Short.
Brother Piya, maybe you would like. This is the last one we'll pick up.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question by Brother Singha is, what is the difference between gratitude and respect?
Okay. Respect is something, as we said, we say due respect, right? For example, what is the Dhamma? It's impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So we have to treat it that way. We cannot say, oh, no, it's not really impermanent, something else. Then we're not respecting it, all right? So respect is to accept things as they are. That's respect, all right? We respect old people. Why? Because they are old. Why? Because they are infirm, they're not strong, so we respect them. In that respect, we say, all right? So accepting the truth and behaving in that way, that is one way of looking deeper into the respect. Gratitude is our expression of appreciation and joy to a situation that we have been given, which we either didn't early on work for it or we didn't deserve it, and this person has been kind to us. For example, a teacher, the Buddha teaches us, and we're so happy that he took the trouble to preserve the teachings, to give the teachings in such a way that we can still remember the teachings today and practice it. So we are grateful to the Buddha. We feel happy towards him. We also praise him sometimes. Most importantly is we show our gratitude by practicing what he teaches. So gratitude is more an expression of joy, of acknowledging that this is what has been given to us and it is beneficial to us. So that is gratitude, okay?
Question is about Rhinoceros Sutta.
Rhinoceros Sutta, yes. Rhinoceros Sutta, yeah.
So, Brother Piya, do you want to answer it here or wait for an answer?
What is the sutta, is it?
He asked about the sutta and about the importance of
okay. Yeah. Okay, not many people have heard of the Rhinoceros Sutta. In Pali it's called Khaggavisana Sutta. It is a very ancient sutta. It's found in the Sutta Nipata, not in the four Nikayas, in the fifth Nikaya, in a book called Sutta Nipata. The Sutta Nipata contains very old, the oldest teachings as well as the newest teachings, right? It's got quite a variety. And Rhinoceros Sutta is amongst the oldest. In fact, it's so old, it is not taught by the Buddha himself. It is taught by a Pacceka Buddha, it is said, according to the sutta. They are quotes by Pacceka Buddhas, but then our Buddha repeated it for our benefit. This Khaggavisana Sutta, the Rhinoceros Sutta, represents a time, a very early time, when the Buddha was still a wanderer by himself. You can say maybe the first 10 years of the Buddha's time. He is called a Muni, Sakya Muni, so he's a loner. So the main idea in the Rhinoceros Sutta, the refrain, the chorus line says, wander alone like a rhinoceros, wander alone like a rhinoceros. So let me give you a couple of examples. the sutta says, if you cannot find a friend who is either your equal or better than you might as well wander alone like a rhinoceros. This is the kind of advice, right? And so the idea of you're better off alone than mixing around with people who get you into trouble, all right? As I said, it's a time very early when the Buddha was not going around teaching very much, But then, as I said, this reflects the teaching of Pacceka Buddha. And Pacceka Buddha, as you know, arise at a time when there are no Sammasambuddhas, when there are no Buddha like our Buddha who has the ability and skill to teach. The Pacceka Buddhas, they're not very good in speaking, and the people at that time also are not so ready for the Dhamma. They're too materialistic and so on. But, for example, Devadatta, because of his interesting karma, he's going to become a Pacceka Buddha in the future. He won't be teaching, but he'll be enlightened at a time when people will not really understand the Dhamma. But he already spent time with the Buddha, so he's been learning all these things. So he's a loner Buddha, if you like. All right. So this Khaggavisana Sutta, the Rhinoceros Sutta, is for the loner. Okay. It is useful when you're on retreat. You can help. You find that sutta helpful when you're on retreat. But once you follow Sakyamuni Buddha's teaching, as I said, you got to limit that to retreat situation, because we, deal with people, we teach them, we counsel them, and so on. So we do communicate, and sometimes it's not easy to teach the Dhamma also. All right, so the Rhinoceros Sutra is very special in that sense. Okay. All right. Thank you for asking.
Right. Thank you so much, Brother Piya. Shall I say Acharya Piya Tan, for a wonderful sutta teaching on this beautiful Friday evening. I hope, brothers and sisters, you had gained a lot, as much as I do. Probably I gain most, because I am also helping to run the questions and answer at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it gives me a double impact and double input. Thank you so much, Acharya Piya Tan.
Yeah.
So over to you, Acharya, for the closing salutation.
Okay, so do you like to put up? Yes, okay. This is the closing salutation. Now, before we close, we'll spend a quiet moment to recall the significance of this event and then dedicate merits. So just calm yourself a bit, just like when we open. So you can close your eyes or open your eyes, it's okay. Now we have gathered together here, dedicated to the idea of wanting to know what the Buddha really taught in the suttas, what is early Buddhism, who is the historical Buddha, how can we practice his teachings, how can we attain stream winning in this life itself, how we can reach the path in this life. In other words, a simple, effective Buddhism. The fact that you all have made so much sacrifice coming here on this Friday, sitting here peacefully, you're all keeping the precepts. You may think you are doing nothing here, but you're doing something very important. Every moment you sit peacefully here, you're not killing, you're not stealing, you're not committing sexual misconduct, you're not lying, you're not intoxicated. To that extent, you're keeping the precepts. Remember this Silanusati, remember this recollection on moral virtue. Next time you want to meditate or you have difficulty meditating, just remember the peacefulness of this moment, how you have kept the precepts. Reflecting in this way, let us dedicate our merits to all our teachers who have helped us to learn the Dhamma. Let us dedicate our loving kindness to our parents who are still alive. And knowing that there is no death, even those people who pass away, they have been reborn. They could be devas watching us, or they could be just around us somehow. We share this joy with them, that they may be well and happy too. that they are also listening to these enjoyable teachings, this peace, moment of peace. We only dedicate merits to the pretas. And if they are around here and the Buddha says there's sure to be some of them who are our relatives and also as well as our friends, we wish them well and happy. We remember them with love, remember their goodness. So by all these good deeds we have done, we wish them well and happy, that they may rejoice in this moment and fall from their suffering states and be reborn happily, according to the good karma. May all beings be well and happy. And now let us close by reciting the three bows to the bows to the three jewels. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namassami. Bow. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow. Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.